Okay, next up, we have a panel titled Investing in HR Startups. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to welcome to the stage another member of Al Ma'ina family. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage the head of Dar al Fikr Endowments from Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Mr. Hassan Al Ma'ina. Mr. Khalid, the main Ma'ina, was supposed to be here, but he can't be here today, unfortunately. And also, please welcome to the stage Mr. Ghulam Sarkozy, the president of the family office GSNB from France. Sir, did I pronounce your name right? Somewhat, right? Okay, let's get to the stage. Just wanted to ask you, Mr. Hassan, like a quick question. So, because this also ties up into HR, because I feel like your dad and mom did a pretty good job HR managing this family. So what is so special? Like, why is everybody in this family such an overachiever? Overachiever.
It's a very...
right, it's good.
First of all, hello everyone, and thank you for still being here. When I saw the session at my time, I thought half the room would be empty, but you guys are doing a great job. Thank you so much for sticking around. Back to your question, honestly, it's about following your passion.
Okay.
That's what we did. We just kept following our passion. Lena did it in sports. She found it out 20 years ago. I just realized it 5 years ago, but at least you figure it out eventually. I've been in education sector for the past 6 years, and the youth, and seeing them grow, and I've actually been parachuted into this sector. Actually, I was more into business development, government, real estate, advertising, media. I was all over the place. And then finally, education is where I found out that it's my passion. I love working around kids, with kids, being on the spot, answering the famous question, what will my son be in the future? Will he be prepared for the jobs of the future? What are you doing in artificial intelligence and robotics and character building? And the school I knew was, get a grade in math. You got to be smart,
Exactly.
But that's a different ball game. And with the pandemic, the shift happened so fast. We're trying to adapt every day.
So from that point, before we move to Mr. Ghulam, from that point, you're running a school and you're preparing them for the future, and that's basically the basis of HR management, human resources. Mm-hmm. So how do you prepare them for life after school?
Well, it definitely starts with character building. You have to have this 21st century skills, the soft skills that you need, because with a grade alone, you won't be able to take it further. Without a passion, without confidence, without presentation skills or creativity, you need to, and these skills are best shaped and formed at a younger age. You can do it at an older age, for sure, but it's just much easier to mold with the youth, and they're just very innocent and passionate, and it's very easy to push them to make it to success. So that's what makes my job so fun every day.
So, Mr. Ghulam, you can introduce yourself as well, because we're going to dive into aspects of your past and your current experience. So if you can introduce yourself, please, to the crowd as well.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here. I'm very impressed by this noble assembly. That's my first trip to Dubai.
Wow.
And it's a nice trip. Just a few words. I was very lucky because in all my life, I had 6 different lives. 3 years, I was a fireman in Paris. 3 years, I was engineer in IBM.
Yeah.
27 years, I was CEO and owning an industrial textile company in France. Mm-hmm. During all this time, I was also vice president for the French business organization and make a lot of negotiation with trade unions and with the French government and with Brussels. And afterward, at 54 years, I became, not by magic, but by life, I became CEO of a big insurance company, 10,000 people, 30 billion euro assets. And now that's 5 years, 6 years, I invest in startups. That's, 6 life different, and I'm very happy to make this like this.
The one thing in common between all of these lives is leadership. So across all of them, you've led a certain amount of men and women to a common goal. How were you able to do that during the 6 different lives you've been through?
You are right. I don't like that people manage me, but to be honest, I like to manage people. That's the main point. And that's 43 years I manage people. And before this time, when I was to IBM, IBM is a very nice company. But I stayed 3 years at IBM because, at this time, it was in 1977, something like this. We had a big blue book with 800 marketing situation and 800 solution. And I said, it's not for me. I need to find myself the solution. And I leave at this time, life make that I leave IBM to become CEO of a small 200 people industrial textile company. And then I bought the company.
You bought the company.
Yeah, I sell my house to buy the company. It was I was very happy with this, but it was a huge mistake by finance, I mean, because 27 years after, I was no more house and no more company. But I was very lucky, and I learned a lot of things.
So what is the key difference between the HR practices at IBM and the HR practices at a smaller 200-person industrial textile company that you were the CEO of?
But as you said, I perfectly agree with you, the main point today is soft skills. The things go so fast that you have to learn every day. All the technical situation you have to learn. But it's very difficult to learn and to change your soft skills. And then you have to be curious, you have to be resilient. I don't know if English word, resilient?
Yes,
but then
resilient.
you have to adapt yourself to all situations. In our family, we are specialists for this.
I guess
Yes.
they might have not guessed by the name who's your brother. They might not have guessed by the name. So guys, does the last name ring any bells? Yes. Okay, they guessed it. I'm sorry. Go ahead, sir.
But it's my family. Just 2 words to explain this. My father, our father, born in Hungary, and in 1948, after the war, Russian people were in Hungary, and he said, "I don't want to stay there." And he left Hungary, and after 6 months of a lot of story, he arrived in France as a clochard. Do you know clochard?
Homeless. Okay.
Homeless.
Okay.
Because in Hungary, we had a lot of land, a lot of people working in our land, but he left everything, and he stayed in December 1948, 1 week on the metro, Place de l'Étoile. And then, 60 years later, his son became president of France. That's
That's adaptation. Okay. Mr. Hassan, I wanted to ask you a question about how do you motivate demotivated people to get them going towards a common goal? Let's say your students, whether it be in the companies you were working in the past. How do you do that?
Okay, so it's a little bit different when it comes to students and employees.
Let's
But if
hang
you
out
wanna-
above.
For students, it's very challenging because you have to work with the families, you have to work with the parents, you have to work with their home environment, knowing what's going on there. So you guys have to complement each other. You can't be having ideas that this would work with this method would work with this person, because you need to know where he's coming from, what environment he or she is in. So, and we do work with counselors, therapists. You have to know the parents, you have to know what's going on. In companies, it's also very challenging because as the question says, how after the pandemic younger generations will work in companies. And it's found, and I don't know if the numbers are right, but they're saying that the dominant group are the youth right now in companies, because they're the ones who are adapted to technology, digitizations, automation. So, and that's an example we had in the school, because schools, we had the experienced teachers who are 10, 20 years of experience were the seniors, were the ones we depended on, that they have experience in classroom management, in psychology, and being a father figure to or a mother figure to the boys and girls. But then after the pandemic started, we realized that the young teachers who just came in last year, they're the ones who know how to use the platforms and the applications, and kept the class fun for the kids. And that was another HR, not challenge, but service we had to do, is to train the old teachers how to use these platforms and get them up to date with technology. So that was also an interesting experience, how we saw everything flipped for overnight. And that was very interesting. And it was a challenge for the HR department to, HR departments after the pandemic is not a service anymore. It's more of a strategy and an enabler to help the staff get up to speed and up to date with what's happening around them.
Okay, so now a question for both of you. We'll start with Mr. Ghulam. So what motivates employees? Is it money, or is it other things? And if it's other things, what are the other things?
Money now, in all the inquiry we have in companies, it's in the second or third position.
Second sub-position.
Second or third.
Okay.
First is reconnaissance.
Organization.
Recognition,
Okay.
sorry. That's the first point. And the second is what is the sense of what I do? Why do I this? Is this noble or not? Is it a good sense or not? That's the main point. And there is also another point is for the new Z generation, it's I want my job to be adapted to myself.
Not the opposite.
Not the opposite. And that's a real challenge for all the HR people, because HR people used to adapt the company for everybody, and with the trade unions, with all the teams, but not for each people. It's why we need technology. And personally, now I invest mainly in HR startups, because there is a lot of new solutions to answer this question.
Mm-hmm. We're going to get to the HR startups you invested in 1 second. Go ahead. So what motivates employees more? Is it money or is it intangible?
Obviously, it's a bit of both. Mm-hmm. You can't take one out of the other. But it's definitely, when it came to the school we were in, number one was the job security and the environment. So yes, I would sacrifice a 10% or 15% bump if I'm going to go to an uncertain territory doesn't provide any job safety or security. Teachers stayed because they were comfortable, because they were happy, and you had to create that environment for them. And you have to be adaptive and flexible with them, especially after the pandemic. A lot of them are frustrated, a lot of them are going through hard times, and they're taking care of little children. So they have to be in a good, healthy, mental, physical state. So that was a lot of challenge on us because we became therapists and we had to get to know them and their wives and visit them and greet them at the airport and make sure they're comfortable and happy because they're taking care of 20 kids. I mean, some of us have 1 or 2 kids and they're driving them crazy. Imagine you have 20 in one room for the whole day from 7 to 4. So that's, you really need to make sure that this human being is comfortable, happy, and feels secure where he's working.
Okay, now let's get into the HR startups. So could you tell us more about the HR startups you've invested in?
Today, there is a huge shortage of talents. It's very difficult to hire people.
True.
And then, first, and second, all the organization, all the company have to move, to change very quickly. Nobody knows what could be the situation with the next 5 years. And then you have to identify the skills you have in your company. You have to understand the gap between the skills people get today to the skills you need tomorrow. And you have to train those people. And then one of my best startups is on this field to help because people don't know how to explain what their talents. They know to explain what they do, but not what their talents. And we help them. And once you have the skills needed by the company and the skills available in your company, you are the king because you have a lot of different applications and you can increase your productivity, for instance.
Okay, so the HR startup is it a recruitment firm or is it a software that identifies?
It's mainly a SaaS system, software
system.
in SaaS system, yes.
Wow.
Today, that's the best. And one more word, it's also a good valuation on the financial market. When I always invest in seed or pre-seed because I like to be at the beginning of the story and to help them to adapt their company to the world. And I like to make projects. And it's like this we go forward.
So, Mr. Hassan, how do you choose talent? We're just talking about how hard is it to choose talent. How do you identify what fits best for your situation?
Well, it's for us. Unfortunately, in the school, there's a lot of trial and error because you have to know the person, you have to interact with the person, you have to go out for dinner with the person, or travel, or put them in this situation. Because a CV or a resume is just a piece of paper I can fill it up with everything you want to hear. But putting a person into action and trying them out and put them in a difficult situation. That's where you can. That's the only way for us as a school we would, filter out who is talented and who's not, and who needs, to be pushed or supported or trained to improve that talent.
Sir Ghulam, how would you choose talent? How do you evaluate
For
talent?
me, there is 3 major value: loyalty, the first, engagement, and resilience. How people can adapt themselves to the world who move so fast. But loyalty, that's the top.
So loyalty is number 1.
For me, number 1. I prefer somebody who is loyal than somebody too clever.
Okay, what's the one red flag? If you see that one trait in one person, other than loyalty for you, there's no way you're hiring that person. Mr. Hassan.
I don't really, I wouldn't have many red flags. I don't tend to judge a person right away. I mean, it's very tricky. I mean, I don't really, with schools especially, you need to have patience. You need to be a very patient person. And you need to see his background and what kind of lifestyle he has, what kind of environment he has grown up in, and ask him these personal questions. If he is he an emotional person? Is he empathetic? Does he have a soft spot for young children? And does he have a passion in it? Because some of them are really great teachers, but they don't reach the children. They don't go the extra mile. If they see someone who's feeling sad, you don't pull them and saying, why are you sad? They say, okay, class over, next class. So you need to, and you will only find out these things while you see them working. So you have to continuously evaluate, follow up, and assess to make sure that you have the right staff.
Mr. Ghalib,
I don't want to hire somebody who is not transparent.
who's not transparent.
No.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
do what I said, and I said what I do. Stop.
Wow. Okay, it's very powerful. Okay, so what are the HR trends that you guys are seeing going forward in the HR industry? Trends, future-wise, where do you see HR going?
This is I'm president of a French HR people organization, and that's the main point we think today, that the transformation of the HR. HR used to make process. Shall I pay people a lot of process like this? Now they have to invent the way to, let's say, manage, recognize the people, to have the right system to make it, and to advise the business people. Because HR for tomorrow, for me, have to be processed by the business people, by the management, not by the HR people. The HR people have to advise the right method. They have not to do themselves.
Wow.
So definitely HR now, as I mentioned, has the concept or idea of HR has changed, where back in the days just used to be a service. Put your paper, ask for a raise or a holiday or a training program or whatever. Now it's becoming a function. There's artificial intelligence involved, and there's ways of mapping and recruiting and a database that you have to tap into and see trends and read numbers and data. So definitely all that technology and digitization in that sector can help a lot of businesses make decisions and see certain trends and help them out, make the right decisions, basically. It's a function, not a service anymore.
Do you know where is the best HR we have in our country?
Where?
In the army.
Army.
Much better than in all companies. Because you have to manage people young, people who are in danger always, with a very small salaries and a very high engagement, and they do it.
So how do they do it?
That's another conference.
Okay, closing remarks. Mr. Hassan, any closing remarks?
I'm going to keep it short. Thank everybody for showing up, and thank you for the opportunity for having me here. Thank you.
Mr. Ghalib, closing remarks.
Okay, HR will be the function in face of the CFO tomorrow. Today, CFO is here, CHR is here. They have to be together because there is a huge shortage of people now everywhere.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, any questions? Okay, hands going up, yes. في أسئلة. يلا.
Oh, hello, good evening. That was very interesting. We're from a British education background. We work with schools in the UK, and we've advocated for a long time. You mentioned, sir, the soft skills. So in your classic classroom, there's a lot of learning by rote. There's an awful lot of just, getting the A grades or whatever it is. But we're really pushing in what we do, getting our Gen Z children not to be so delicate, because a lot of times you're going to find in HR departments that these kids aren't possibly going to even pass the first interview because they're so sensitive, and COVID hasn't helped with that. Do you feel that maybe some courses ought to be put into the permanent curriculums? I know every country has different curriculums, but courses which make these children more resilient, and if so, from what age? I say from about before they're 13, we need to be engaging these children to be more resilient and not so soft?
Assuming this question's for me. So yeah, I mean, I would go down to 3. Why wait till 13? You should teach them how to be resilient from a very young age, and it's very challenging, especially with this new generation. I mean, there's so many strategies and methodologies, and also, I mean, a lot of the publishers and the curriculums are also who are the experts and done so much research into it. We keep trying each and every method, and we keep trying different publishers, and we keep attending these workshops and seminars to figure out how to do it. What's trendy nowadays is edutainment. So, education through entertainment, get them excited, engaged at a young age. That keeps it fun, less boring. Most of our kids, this generation, our generation iPad, he doesn't eat or she doesn't listen until she's following something that has a picture and a sound and graphics and lights, and then they attend a classroom and it's just static and quiet and there's someone talking. They're all looking distracted, and this is not fun for them anymore. So that's where the new publishers came up with edutainment. It has to be interactive, it has to be fun, it has a lot of visuals, and move away from the traditional way of education. Of course, then you can have other activities, group activities, sports, arts, music. There's so much you can do to tackle this sensitivity you mentioned.
Okay, we're gonna have to. We can do the questions later over coffee or over dinner. Okay, I guess both of your tables are gonna be very crowded over dinner. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, please a round of applause for our great panelists, Mr. Ghulam and Mr. Hassan Maina.